The courtroom fell silent the moment she collapsed. It wasn't the kind of silence you hear every day. It was heavy, suffocating. The kind that makes people question what they thought they knew. Maria's body hit the polished courtroom floor with a dull sound, her trembling hands still resting protectively over her pregnant belly. Gasps echoed across the room. Even the judge leaned forward in shock. But one person didn't move. Sitting across the aisle, dressed in a sleek white suit, Vanessa, the woman accused of destroying Maria's marriage, had been smiling just seconds earlier. A confident, almost victorious smile. She believed the truth was finally about to bury Maria's claims forever. She had no idea that within minutes, everything would change. Maria had never imagined her life would unravel like this. She and Daniel had built a quiet life in Toronto, the kind many young Canadian couples dream of. Small townhouse in Scarborough, weekend coffee at local cafes. Plans for a baby, plans for forever. Then Daniel changed. Late nights, hidden phone calls, cold shoulders, and finally, the confession, he had fallen in love with someone else. Vanessa, his ambitious colleague, had walked into his life with charm, confidence, and promises of a brighter future. Maria was 3 months pregnant when Daniel moved out. Vanessa didn't just take Daniel. She took Maria's stability, her trust, and nearly her sanity. When Maria announced her pregnancy publicly during the divorce proceedings, Vanessa laughed. She claimed the baby couldn't be Daniel's. She hinted that Maria was desperate, trying to trap him with a lie. Daniel, confused and manipulated, demanded a DNA test. His doubt hurt more than his betrayal. Still, Maria agreed. She had nothing to hide. The court date for the results arrived on a cold February morning. Snow fell lightly outside the courthouse, covering the city in white, as if trying to erase the ugliness inside those walls. Maria hadn't been sleeping well. Stress and pregnancy were a dangerous combination. She felt dizzy even before entering the courtroom, but she refused to look weak. She wore her simplest blue dress, the one Daniel once said made her look peaceful. Today, she didn't feel peaceful. Vanessa, on the other hand, looked radiant. Perfect makeup, perfect posture, perfect confidence. She believed this test would free Daniel completely and humiliate Maria. As proceedings began, Maria's hands trembled. Her lawyer squeezed her shoulder reassuringly. Across the room, Daniel avoided her eyes. When the judge finally reached for the sealed envelope, the room seemed to stop breathing. That was when Maria's vision blurred. Her ears rang. The last thing she saw before darkness swallowed her was Vanessa's faint smirk. Paramedics were called immediately. The judge ordered a brief recess. Maria was lifted onto a stretcher, oxygen mask placed gently over her face. Her condition stabilized quickly, but the doctor warned that stress could harm both mother and baby. Even lying there, half conscious in the hallway, Maria whispered only one thing, "My baby, please." Inside the courtroom, people murmured. Some began questioning whether things had gone too far. When court resumed, the judge's voice carried a new gravity. He adjusted his glasses and opened the envelope. Vanessa straightened in her seat. Daniel clenched his jaw. The DNA test confirms, the judge began slowly, with 99.99% certainty, that Mr. Daniel Harper is the biological father of the unborn child. The words echoed like thunder. Vanessa's smile vanished instantly, her face drained of color. The confident woman who had walked in moments ago suddenly looked small. Exposed. Daniel's head dropped into his hands. Regret washed over him, like a wave he could no longer outrun. He had doubted the woman who stood by him for years. He had believed whispers over vows. But the judge wasn't finished. He continued, noting that the evidence of financial abandonment during pregnancy would significantly impact custody and support rulings. Daniel would be legally and financially responsible. Moreover, the court would consider Maria's emotional distress when determining the divorce settlement. Vanessa tried to speak, but her voice cracked. For the first time, she realized this wasn't a game of winning a man. This was about consequences. Outside, Maria slowly regained consciousness. Her lawyer knelt beside her and gently told her the results. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not tears of victory, but of relief. She hadn't fought for revenge. She fought for truth, for her child, for dignity. Daniel approached cautiously. He looked different now, not arrogant, not confused, but broken by his own choices. He tried to apologize, but Maria simply held up her hand. Some wounds need silence more than words. Weeks later, life looked different. Hard, but honest. Maria gave birth to a healthy baby girl in a Toronto hospital overlooking Lake Ontario. She named her Hope. Daniel attended the birth, but this time not as a husband, as a father learning responsibility the hard way. Vanessa was gone, having realized that relationships built on betrayal rarely survive truth. Maria moved into a smaller apartment closer to her mother. She began rebuilding her life, piece by piece. Therapy. Prenatal yoga classes turned into mommy and me groups. Community support reminded her she wasn't alone. Canada's legal system hadn't just delivered a verdict, it had protected her child's rights. One afternoon, months later, Maria pushed Hope's stroller through a park blanketed in autumn leaves. The air was crisp, but her heart felt steady. A stranger smiled at her and said, "You look strong." Maria smiled back. Strength, she realized, isn't about never falling. It's about standing up, even when the world watches you collapse. That day in court, people thought the story was about a fainting pregnant woman and a fading smile. But it wasn't. It was about truth refusing to stay buried. It was about a mother choosing courage over humiliation. It was about understanding that DNA doesn't just prove biology, it reveals character. And sometimes, the moment you feel weakest, is the exact moment your life begins to change for the better. If there's one thing Maria's story teaches us, it's this: never let someone's doubt rewrite your truth. Because when integrity stands firm, even the coldest courtroom can become the place where justice and hope are born.